say that first and foremost, the main thing to understand is the timing of when all of this occurs. So I'll throw some facts out there. I'm going to work backwards.
Yep.
The average age of an NHL rookie last year was 23. The average age of an NCAA hockey playing freshman was 20. The average age that person committed to their school was 19. All right. And then some new rules were put in place regarding NCAA recruitment, which means two main things. No recruiting conversation can occur until January 1st of a student athlete's grade 10 year in high school. And no commitment can occur the earliest until August 1st before their grade 11 year. So it's important to know that timeline. And I say that because we will get a lot of families as young as grade 8, grade 9 say, what do I need to do to get a scholarship? It's a good question, but let's make sure that you understand when, if you're going to get one, when that will come. Okay. And for most players, it's not going to come until they're 19 years old. So understand that first. All right. Now, the aspects of what you need, the first, and I would say, I don't know if I want to say the most important part, but an undeniable part is you have to be good enough at hockey. Okay. These teams are Division I NCAA programs, are serious hockey programs with serious hockey players, and you have to be good enough to play. That's probably the most important part. And then if you are good enough to play, you have to be at least at a certain level academically. That might vary from school to school, but it does start with what's called NCAA initial eligibility. So the NCAA, which is the governing body for all of college hockey, they have a minimum standard that you have to be over so that you are eligible to play college hockey. And that is essentially a sliding scale of your grades, your marks in school, grades 9 through 12, okay? And then your test scores on either the SAT or the ACT. And it's a sliding scale. So if you're really knocking it out of the park, your marks-wise in your high school, your grades, your test scores can be a little lower. And if you're not doing so well, your marks, but you crush it with a test score, then that can be higher. And it's this kind of sliding scale. I will say that can sound intimidating, especially I think to a Canadian that's less familiar with the NCAA athletics environment, but it's not super high. So I've encountered some families or some young men who feel like their academics probably wouldn't get them to an eligibility level when in fact it certainly does. Okay. So I want to just set that kind of standard. Now, once you're initially eligible, we have 60 Division I men's programs, and they all have varying degrees of what constitutes eligibility at those schools. For many of them, it's if you're eligible with the NCAA, you're eligible with us. But for many of them, it's more than that. Okay. And some have pretty strict academic standards. So if you are in that pool of player that's good enough as a hockey player to be eligible for college hockey, the better your academics are, the less competition you have. Okay. So let's say, I don't know if you can see me, but if this is the pool of players that are good enough on the ice, okay, all of a sudden, if these people aren't good enough off the ice, now the pool got smaller. And now it shrinks as you kind of go up that within schools all the way up to the school that might have the most stringent or strictest academic acceptance. And now all of a sudden you have a small pool of players that you're actually competing with for a spot on that roster. So that's I think a fundamental foundation to understand kind of how that works. Okay. Now the scholarship piece of it, each school has 18 scholarships. I would say think of that as a salary cap. You have 18 scholarships to dole out. You could choose, a school could choose to give out 18 full scholarships. Or they can give out 12 full scholarships and then break up 6 scholarships over a pool of 10 or 11 other players. They can essentially dole those 18 scholarships out over their whole roster however they want. And most rosters are going to come in around the 25 player size, give or take a little bit. So generally, everybody's getting something. Not everybody will perhaps get a full scholarship, but you can imagine with 18 fulls, 25 players on a roster, typically most everybody is getting something pretty significant, if not 100% or close to 100%.